All right, I think we're live. When Toronto won last night, but mixed Brock Nelson, Jordan Eberle, and Dobson. Just one of those nights that the Islanders and Toronto disappointed. I know, like Toronto got worked for they were. It didn't seem like they were giving up too many chances. They were just letting a lot of shots up. But
Yeah.
Freddie made that sick save on Justin Bailey in the 2-on-1.
Yeah.
That was actually a sick saucer pass by I think it was Pearson. But ex-Greyhound Justin Bailey. I think he was a Buffalo pick, second round.
Really? He was a second round?
I think he was a second rounder to Buffalo. You want to confirm that? What's up, Ray? What's going on, everyone? Welcome. Not Josh Bailey. Hey, you know Josh Bailey had a 31 goal season and like 75 points on the Islanders? Oh.
Yeah. What?
Nice chair. Sloppy night for the Leafs, I know. Got wrecked last night. Had 0 St. Louis, 1. A couple of Coyotes lineup. Didn't do super well. Last night was a close your eyes and choose your lineup night, and you won. Which has been the theme all year. Like, it's crazy. It was like 9 p.m. and I'm looking at this, like, my score app, and I'm like, okay, so there's been 8 goals tonight, and they're all, like, unassisted goals. Brutal. What's good? Runyon, I think, was it 3-4 nights ago I told you to bet the super over in the Leafs game when it was 7-3? Did you end up doing that bet? I think we were talking about it, and I didn't see you in my last 2 streams. What's up, Jax? What's going on, man?
Boys, what's going on?
We're probably going to keep this stream a little short. We got some work to do today. So we'll give it another couple minutes, but we're not gonna be answering too many questions. What's up, Duncan? Yeah, last night was just a wash. Like, I entered that 150 maxed in that micro millions contest and whatever it was. But I mean, it was just like if you stacked last night, you didn't win. So, and defense were just a mess. I don't know.
Yep.
Keeper drop Teravainen for Wilson. If it's a hits league, you can pick up Wilson. Yeah, apparently the Philly game's postponed, eh?
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Calling it right now, Oilers win 4-2 tonight. 4-2s. Well, Hochberg's in net, so it'll probably be like 8-2.
Yeah.
Seth Jones came through. Yeah, Jones was good yesterday. Jones is a guy that like projects
Great.
like extremely well for us. But then had like 15 bad games in a row. But all right. Want to get started?
Good. Let's do it.
So Oilers, Senators. I feel like at this point in the season, we're kind of just repeating what we say every week. Because all these teams just play each other, you know what I mean? And like prices don't change. Yeah. I think the prices are honestly the exact same as last week or as last game. I think Nuge might be a little bit cheaper here, but again, Oilers won just in another really good spot. They have extremely good expected goals numbers. They've been producing at a really high rate. I have their numbers up from last game, so it looks like they were actually kind of even offensively, which is a surprise to me. But I mean, it's hard for me to get off of them tonight, especially with Hochberg in net. That's the goalie that the Oilers absolutely lit up last game when it was 8-2 or something, or when McDavid and Draisaitl had like 6 points each and just ruined the whole slate for everybody. But definitely like Oilers won tonight. I think I like Oilers too a little bit more. It looks like they were actually extremely productive 5-on-5 last game against the Senators. They must have been matching up against the depth lines here. And I tried to do some digging for line matches, and it looked like McDavid played 30% against the top 3 lines. So no hard matches, which is kind of a good thing because going up against the Chuck line's always hard. So if they're evening it out and the first and second line of play against the Senators' depth, it's going to be pretty easy for them tonight. So I think I like line 2 a little bit more. They're a little bit more affordable and they project better for us. On the defensive side, definitely like Tyson Barrie. He has been a beast the last 2 weeks. So hard for me to get off of him. I also really like Nurse as a pay up defenseman option. I guess he's the same price as Barrie. But I think with Barrie, you're kind of just pairing him with your Oilers 1 stacks over Nurse, just because of the power play correlation. But I think Nurse is one of the best one-off defensemen tonight. So if you're not correlating your defenseman and you're looking for someone at that price range, I think Nurse is your best option at 5,900. And then looks like Koskinen's getting the start tonight. He's priced normally. I was kind of had my take on Smith where I thought it was a little bit more favorable to stack against Smith last night, but I mean, I still got to him. I'm sure everyone else got to him too because he just fits so well in your lineups and it was such a good matchup for him. But he had 28 saves you said last night. Smith,
Yeah,
he was in every top lineup.
Solid.
Yeah, he was in every top lineup last night. So don't mind Koskinen tonight. He's a little bit more expensive, but I still think the Oilers are going to be pretty heavy favorites in this game. And then one other thing I want to note here is James Neal is on power play 1. I'm assuming they're going to roll with that today. And if they do, he's going to be high owned like he always is. So just be careful if you're doing Nuge, McDavid, Draisaitl, Neal, because everyone's going to be doing that. So try and find a way to get different if you're plugging Neal in your lineups.
Yeah, Mike actually in the chat stole my kind of talking point there. Is we do see Puljujärvi move up to the first power play line. At least that's what it is on Daily Faceoff right now. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And I think that's just more incentive to take the first line. Even though we did see a pretty uncharacteristic game from line 2 Oilers there being productive at 5-on-5. But you're still going to see a lot of McDavid, Draisaitl tonight, especially with Hogberg getting the start. It's just another favorable matchup for the Oilers in a game that they should win. I probably won't touch the third line at all. You're just going to the top 2 lines here, especially if you're doing a power play correlation or something. Tyson Barrie's definitely helps not having to pay $5,900 to get that top ND as well, as they're expensive enough as it is. So if you're doing a power play stack, definitely make sure you get Barrie as well because he's been fantastic lately. Yeah. Nurse is also another good option, even though he's 6K, like Mike said. He always has a really high floor, always plays a lot of minutes, and then just another favorable matchup against the Sens. So, but Adam Larsson for 5K, that's a little too expensive for me. I'm probably off him altogether. And
what?
If you can fit, I love Larsson. Don't get me wrong. Back when he was a little cheaper than 5K.
5K is crazy.
But I think Koskinen's a pretty safe play tonight, as the Oilers should get the win.
Yeah. Just a question in chat here about what website I use. I use Left Wing Lock. And you just go team, Boston, Bergeron, Pittsburgh, and a date. And you can see that the Bergeron line matched against the Gensel line. So that's what I use for my line matching. So the Senators side, again, they're just good value tonight. It looks like they actually struggled 5-on-5, and that's kind of a surprise to me because typically the Tkachuk line actually buzzes most of the time. But I did some digging here just to see kind of the Lions last game, and it looks like they just put them in a blender and mixed it up halfway through the game. So there weren't really any set lines other than Tkachuk, Norris, and Dadonov. They played 8 minutes 5-on-5, which was far and away the most. The second is Paul, White, and Batherson played 4 minutes together 5-on-5. So it looks like the Senators did do some line changing last game, and that's something to keep in mind, especially if you're stacking like we do. Just make sure you're stacking lines that do stay together for majority of the game. So if I'm going anywhere tonight, it's going to be Senators 1, Senators 1 only. Dadonov is just always good value. He scored. Did you see the goal? I didn't see it, but I'm pretty sure Larson, they were just battling for the puck, and Larson shot it on his own net and scored. And that was the only goal yesterday for the Senators.
Come on.
Yeah, so Mike Smith, whoever had Mike Smith is just putting their hands on their head. And on the defensive side here, I don't mind Shabbat at 6,200, but I think I would rather just go Nurse. I feel like Shabbat is becoming that D that just isn't doing much. And especially if he's playing 30 minutes against this really tough offensive Oilers team, he's just defending nonstop through the entire game. So I'm definitely more on Senators 1 if I'm going anywhere tonight on the Senators side. And on the defensive end, not really much. And then Hogberg is just, he's the 10-foot pole tonight.
Yeah, definitely not touching Marcus Hogberg at all tonight. Just on Shabbat, they're like, his minutes are up, but he still does fairly well in terms of like peripherals, like his shots. He had the shot bonus not last game but the game before, and he gets like 1 or 2 blocks a game. So I just think it, like you said, like it's hard, especially in really tough matchups for the Senators, when he's just constantly like defending against these elite forwards that are in the Canadian division. So it's hard for him to kind of show his offensive upside, but he does tend to strive on the power play. So I think it's tough just with Hogberg in net and it being a back-to-back. But if the Sens are going to score, I feel like it's going to be on the power play. So I wouldn't mind maybe putting together a nice little power play stack there with Tkachuk, Batherson, or Dodonov, whichever one you really prefer. And then you could get Tim Stützle in there as well with Thomas Chabot, just as like a kind of a contrarian play. I just feel like that's really their only chance of putting in a couple goals here. So
fair enough. Sorry. All right, so Red Wings, Panthers. I'm just doing some digging into this game too quickly. So it looks like the Red Wings mixed up their lines, like similar to what I just mentioned with the Ottawa game. They had like 9 different line combinations last game. So it looked like Smith, Larkin, Zadina, who was the first line, played 4 minutes together, and then they moved Brome up to that line with Larkin and Zadina, and they finished the game at 7 minutes. So not too sure what they're going to do this game. And again, you just got to make sure you're paying attention to these lines and looking at lines that do play a lot of minutes together. So I'm kind of more inclined to just stick with the top line here, just because I do like Larkin and Larkin's shot production. But you might even be better off just taking Larkin as a one-off guy, because he is a really high-volume shooter, and that's something that you really want to keep in mind, because that's what generates his floor. And the higher floor, the better always. So if I'm going anywhere on the wing side today, it's going to be Wings 1. Is Mantha hurt? Is that what I'm saying? Maybe that's why. I didn't see it. Did he play last game? No, he didn't play last game. So maybe that's why. But yeah, not much to like on the wing side here. I don't mind Christian Djouz. He's playing power play 1 for some odd reason, even though the Wings power play is kind of a nightmare. But he is seen power play 1 time, and he's kind of cheap. But that's just a punt if you want to get away from the ownership. And then Thomas Greiss, honestly, at 7,100, Greiss is not the worst play. He's probably one of the better value goaltenders on the slate tonight. But you're just crossing your fingers that the Panthers don't put up 5 or 6 goals on the lonely Red Wings tonight. But I think we talked about this earlier, where Greiss is one of those goalies who actually has like really good stats. He's just on a really bad team. So, poor guy.
Yeah, I absolutely hate when it's like low budget, or not low budget, but like underwhelming teams, I'll call them. Like the Sens are another example, and when they just put their lines in an absolute blender. Like if you're the Red Wings, you're probably not going to win a lot of games this year regardless of your lineup. So why not put like Larkin and Mantha back together? Like I know Bertuzzi's injured right now, but like just put your skilled players with your skilled players. They're going to eventually play with each other, and you've seen success with that in the past. I don't know why their lines are like this, and it kind of infuriates me, because Red Wings 1 was a good option last year, right?
Yeah.
Like they had
good numbers 5-on-5 for like 2-3 years.
Exactly. So it upsets me when you see, like, if I were to be a Wings fan, I would be upset not having like a high-end top line that can actually score at 5-on-5. But no Red Wings for me tonight. Not even my boy Filip Hronek at 4,900. It's a tough spot to get to them. Even like, I'm not saying they're not going to score, but their lines are just so mangled. There's not really any reason to take them unless you're doing like a power play stack maybe. But even then, it's still kind of jank with Robbie Fabry being on the first power play. I don't know what's going on with this team.
Yeah, they're just a mess. It's just so hard to play a team that can't really figure it out 5-on-5. So on the Panther side here, look at this pricing. Like I never thought, like looking at Carter Verhaeghe last year on Tampa, that he would ever be 5,600. I guess the price is kind of warranted. He's been really good this season. And when I did some digging into their last game, it looks like that Duclair, Barkov, Verhaeghe line was phenomenal. They had 19 Corsi for, 7 against, and 12 scoring chances in under 10 minutes, 5-on-5, which is something like that you really want to note, especially tonight with, and I'll show you guys here. Like, look at all the different line combinations that they had last game. Like, it's absurd. And I don't know if this is going to be the theme when we go through each team. I only have 4 games up here so far, but I'm going to keep researching as we go along. But just a mess. And if I'm going anywhere tonight, it's going to be Panthers 1 or Panthers power play stack. But it seems like Hornqvist has just been getting so much ownership every night. And I mean, I'm more of an ownership guy where I try and get away from it. But Panthers 1, 18-4. They don't project too well for us. And I think like if you're deciding, do you pay up the extra $1,500 to take Oilers 1 against the Senators in Hogeberg? Or are you taking the Panthers first line at like a $1,500 discount? Like, to me, I'm just looking at this. I'm like, how can I not get to the Oilers or Tampa tonight, which we'll talk about in a bit. But I just think the Panthers are way too overpriced. They're going to need like 5 or 3 or 4 goals to pay off value here. So I'm kind of off the Panthers 1, especially in my cash lineups tonight, personally. And then defensive end, Ekblad's down quite a bit, down to 5,800. So I think he's actually a really solid play at 5,800. Favorable matchup against the Red Wings tonight. He plays a crazy amount of minutes, 25 minutes a night right now. And then Mackenzie Weegar. So I wish he was just a little bit cheaper, but it seems like all these prices are super inflated because of the matchup. And then Bobrovsky, 8,300, the shakiest goalie in the league. No thank you for me tonight.
Yeah, it's really bizarre how you see absolute zero change in terms of pricing looking at the Oilers Sens game, and then the Panthers price just skyrockets when they face the Red Wings. Like, if you were going to tell me that Patrick Hornqvist was going to be more salary than Jonathan Huberdeau, I would have called you crazy. But here I am staring at it. And that it just makes that second line like really hard to get to, even though they've been good as of late. Even the first line too, like Barkov's shooting has been up, but 7,700, like he's not scoring at an unprecedented rate. I know he's like over a point per game right now, but I mean, that's kind of a lie. He's had points in 5 of his last 6 games, and his shooting has just been great. But I love that first line. I'll probably get to some of them tonight if I'm doing like MME, but like you said, it's tough. Like, you'd rather just pay for an Oilers line or a Tampa line, for example. Like, it just gives you a little bit more upside. And I'm not confident in Bobrovsky at all either. I think until he shows me that he's like kind of back into form, I'm gonna just stay together, and I'd rather pay for another goalie in that. And like 8,300, like that, you're just hoping that he gets the win there. He's been, like you said, super shaky. And then Ekblad at 5,800, he had the shot bonus last game. He's solid. The only thing I want to touch on with Ekblad is that he's on the second power play unit now.
Oh wow! Who moved up?
Keith Yandel's on the first power play with Hornqvist, Barkov, Huberdeau, Duclair.
Oh, Duclair's PP1 tonight.
So I think if that gives you a little bit of incentive to maybe go with some Panthers 1 tonight, but it's still just the price that is the really hard thing here.
Apparently Giovanni Smith KO'd Ekblad. I didn't see that, no. I'm not sure if it was Giovanni or Jamel Smith that played for Oshawa. Not Oshawa. No, or Owen Sound. One of them played for Owen Sound in the OHL, and they killed the Greyhounds, so I was not happy. Number 9, I remember. He was so good. All right, Blackhawks Stars. And this is just another team, the Blackhawks, where they just have no line combos at all, and they're just all over the place. And I'm going to show you guys again. It's up on the screen here. So the second line played the most minutes together at 6 minutes, 5-on-5. Wow. So again, I think the way to play this is to just go with either the second line or power play 1 stack, which would be like a Kane, Strome, DeBrincat, or Kane, Kubalik, DeBrincat, something like that. You got to get a little bit different here. They've been really good, the Blackhawks, as of late. They've been scoring, and our podcast is going to be released on Spotify in the coming days. We just wanted to give it some priority to our Patreons, people that support us. You actually touched on how they've been one of the biggest surprises this year in terms of they're 500 and they've lost their best, their number one center, which is detrimental to every team. And then they had no goaltending going into this season if you looked at them on paper, but they've been actually really, really good. It looked like they had a ton of time on the power play last game against Dallas. Dallas got into some penalty trouble, which is kind of a surprise, but I think if I'm going anywhere here tonight in the Blackhawks, it's going to be a power play stack. And on the defensive end, there's not too much to like. I think Murphy's fine at 5,200. He was a beast last year at that 3K price tag, getting 75 blocks a game, but don't mind Lankinen. So I did some digging into goalie advanced stats, and Lankinen seems to be the real deal in his short sample size. Like, he actually has outstanding numbers in all situations too, even on the penalty kill. So don't mind him at 7,300. The Stars are good, and I get it, but at some point you're going to have to save somewhere, and if you need to save in goaltending, I think Lankinen's a fine option at 7,300.
Yeah, Kevin Lankinen is also somebody that we kind of talked about on the podcast as well. You guys should definitely go and check that out if you haven't, but it'll be coming you're releasing it to everybody when, Mike?
Probably Thursday.
Okay, so Thursday, if you guys check that out, we have some good discussion in that for sure. And I do bring up the Blackhawks, and they surprise me every time I look at this team. Lankinen is, like Mike said, looking like he's the real deal, and just an absolute savior for a Blackhawks team that looked like they didn't have a goalie to start the season. So 7,300 is a good value price. I think he's going to see a lot of shots. It was a close game last game. It could very well open up, but the Blackhawks just have continuously proved me wrong as I've watched kind of their season. So a good value play for sure for 7,300. But I think I'm with Mike on this way. If I'm going anywhere with the Blackhawks tonight, it's a power play stack. A lot of the time, as the game kind of progresses in the late stages, and if the Blackhawks are down or something, you'll definitely see DeBrincat go with Kane as well.
Yeah.
I think if you do Kane, DeBrincat, Strome, that's a really good option, as well as maybe throw Duncan Keith there for your power play. I wouldn't touch Andrew Shaw if you're taking if you're doing a power play stack, but definitely get to those three if you're going anywhere with the Blackhawks. If not, I'd probably go with the second line. Dylan Strome and DeBrincat have just been surprisingly very good as of late as well. Not too high on Kubalik. I don't know why he's priced at 5,500, but yeah, probably a Blackhawks power play stack maybe for me. And then my boy Calvin DeHaan is at 4K, which I still think is a great price for him. Guy's an absolute block machine.
Just eat shots.
Yeah.
All right, so the star side. Pavelski, what to do with them? So I put Radulov in this morning when I was just going through the line. So they had Kiviranta there, and I'm not sure on the injury status with Kiviranta if he's playing. So I just tossed in Radulov for now. So it's definitely subject to change. And those who are subscribed to our Patreon, we'll update it for you as the day goes on. But so don't mind Stars 1 if this is the line. I just think it's a favorable matchup against Blackhawks depth. And that's something I wanted to touch on. So it looks like the Stars 3 match up against the Kane line. And this is one of the few teams. I think there's another team that also does it. It might be Pittsburgh and Minnesota are the teams that use their third line against top lines, which is awesome. But Stars 3 are unreal 5-on-5. Like, they work teams bad 5-on-5. They have actually one of the best numbers. I'm going to pull it up here just to show you guys, but I think they're actually one of the most productive lines in hockey. Cogliano, Faxa, who is it? Como, Faxa, Cogliano have a 2.86 expected goals for per 60, which is really good. And they're a line that's 8,100, and they all play about 15 minutes a night against a brutal Blackhawks first line defensively. So if you're looking for a pretty cheap pay down option, like if you're going Draisaitl, Nuge, McDavid, this is an easy line you can pair with them. But just be careful. I think last game they were actually, or last slate, they were owned like 2-3%. So people are pairing them with those really expensive lines. But if you really want to pay down somewhere, this is an unreal option. But you're just hoping for a full line goal. That's it. And that's the biggest worry with me is, can they score that one goal? And hopefully they get a couple of assists, but who knows? And I'm pretty sure if Dallas is up 2-1, this is the line that's on for the empty net. And it's kind of hard to predict empty net goals and all of that, but I mean, that's definitely a plus knowing that they're on for when there's no goalie in the net. So definitely something to keep in mind here. It looks like looks like Dallas too actually was pretty good last game. The Hintz, Gurionov, Jason Robertson line. I know Robertson scored last game, so they're pretty cheap. Robertson definitely brings that price down, so I don't mind them. And on the defensive end, their D are just so priced up. I can't really see myself getting into any of them. I wish Heiskanen was like 4,500, but he just hasn't really impressed too much. And then Jake Ottinger, you're fine going with him just because he's under 8K, but I do think there's a better option, and we'll get to that at the 8K price range.
Yeah, for sure. So, like Mike said, if you need a really cheap filler line, like definitely go with Stars 3. Especially if they're matching against the Kane line. I can't imagine that line is. Actually, I take it back because Khrushchev's on that line, and he just makes every line he plays on an expected goals for dream apparently. So, Stars 3 is a good filler. I'm still not convinced with this team. I think they're slowly coming back down to earth. I don't really like any of their D. They don't really have like a high shot volume or anything. I know Klingberg is like over a point per game or whatever right now, and he's listed at 6,300, and he's going to get the top power play line. But it's just until I see something that I like in terms of upside, which I don't know. Maybe if the second line starts playing a little bit better, and we'll just see what happens with their lineups tonight, because Kivi Ronsick could slide in there on the first line, so that could just put everything in the blender for the Stars. But yeah, I'll definitely use that Stars 3 as some filler tonight, but I just think people are going to look at the matchup, and they're going to think that, okay, the third line's going against the other third line, so that's a really good matchup for the Stars, obviously, and then they're going to be higher owned than we project here. So that's kind of the only thing I'm worried about. But Ottinger is a good goalie for 7,900. I think he's going to see a lot of shots from the Blackhawks. But I think this game is going to be closer than people think, similar to last game.
Yeah, the surprise Blackhawks. So just have some messages about the lines right now, guys. So when I'm doing these lines, I go on Daily Faceoff, and Kiviranta it says he's questionable. Like, I have to decide who I want to put in here. So I just have Radulov now. This isn't the set lines. I don't work for the teams. I just fill in what I see. So for people questioning the lines, or I saw Ekblad might have been injured, I'm just filling in what I see on Daily Faceoff. So it's just hard for me to be digging through 14 teams a day, looking at injury reports and everything. But I appreciate you guys updating me in the chat. It does help a lot too. I know BioArmor a couple days ago was just like, nope, this has changed, this changed, and it was helping us a lot. But these aren't the set lines. We're just kind of putting what I see on Daily Faceoffs when I do this in the morning. All right, so Lightning, Predators. 4-1 game last game. It was kind of low event, which was a surprise to me. But the Stamkos line was very good 5-on-5. Not really a surprise there. They were creating a bunch of scoring chances. They played a bunch together. And the one bright spot with them tonight is that they all played together. They did not split their lines up for the whole game. So definitely really favorable. I think it's a really good matchup against a brutal Predators team. Like, they have just been a mess, both 5-on-5 and on the penalty. The penalty kills where they're really struggling, but they've been struggling quite a bit. And now their star center, Ryan Johansson's gone. Just kidding. I don't think Johansson's that good. But definitely like Lightning won tonight. I like the power play 1 correlation. Stammer's under 8K tonight. They are priced a little bit down. I think they were up at 22K last game, so don't mind them. Again, I know Sorelli scored 2 goals last game, and I think it was both on the power play, but the line 2 just doesn't produce that much 5-on-5. But they did have a pretty good game last game. They are kind of cheap, so I don't mind going any of these 3 Lightning lines, especially the third line. They are unbelievable 5-on-5, and they're actually another team where they're a third line that pairs against the team's first line. So I lied about the 3 teams that I named. This is a 4th team, and their third line's awesome. Again, just another pay down option, but they always get ownership. And I think Coleman scored last game too, so his ownership's going to be probably higher tonight. On the defensive side, Hedman is really expensive at 7,400. I think there's a little bit better options than him, because he's a guy that you really rely on getting a few assists, because he doesn't shoot or block like too much, not enough to justify that price tag. So don't mind Hedman, but I think it's just I'll take him if I'm pairing with Lightning 1, and then maybe get to some Dallas 3. I'm telling you guys my cash lineup right now, but McDonough 3,900. You know I love McDonough. Plays a bunch of minutes. He's my boy. And then Eric Chernak. So I looked up the pronunciation today, and it said it was Chernak. So we've been saying Cernak. I've heard.
Knack.
Yeah, it literally said on Hockey Reference Chair-Knack. So I'm gonna call him Cernak for now. That's just what I've been saying. But he's solid. I had him at about 20% last night, and he paid off big time. He's a D that blocks and shoots a ton. He will also be in my waiver wire video today. For those of you in category leagues and that are looking for a defenseman that shoots, blocks, and hits a lot, he's definitely someone to pick up. And then this is what I mentioned about Jake Ottinger at 7,900. There's Vasilevsky's only 8K tonight. And he's usually max price at 8,500. So I think if you're doing any cash lineups and you're looking for a goaltender, this is probably the first goaltender you're going to put in. He's just the best goalie in the league for the last couple of years. And I mean, such a favorable matchup tonight against the Predators.
Yeah, Vast at 8K, give me some of that. He's going to see shots, and it should, again, just be another win for the Lightning tonight against a Preds team that's still trying to figure it out. So I like the first line as well. Like, even they're cheaper than last game. So I'll take that every day of the week. I'm still kind of off the second line. Like, I feel like they just had, like, a good game last game.
Yeah.
But we're still going to go with the numbers there, obviously, that they don't really do too well at 5-on-5, or not as well as some of the other Tampa lines, I'll say that. And then the third line is your filler bread and butter right there. Like, that's your cheap line that gives you a bunch of upside. So definitely going to use them again tonight. And then Hedman at 7,400, like Mike said, like, there's times where if you're paying that much for a defenseman, you just expect like a high floor all the time. And with Hedman, there will be games where he gets like maybe 5 fantasy points. And when you pay 7,400 for a defenseman, like, I don't want that defenseman to bust, you know? And I know it's DraftKings and anything can happen, but if you're going to that price, like, why not go with like a Darnell Nurse who just has like a really high floor, like a Roman Josi, for example? Like, it's a good power play matchup as well, and I get that, and I get that Hedman plays a lot, but there's just some games where I'm just kicking myself for taking him and paying that much.
Yeah, I agree. So on the Predator side, it looks like Johansson is out week to week right now, so Duchesne moves up to the top line, your boy. So I don't mind the first line. They are a little bit expensive for me, especially against this really, really tough matchup in Tampa. So I can't see myself going too overweight in the Predators. If I'm MMEing, I'm going to take some, but in any cash, there's no shot I'm taking any of these Predators lines. I just looked, and apparently Tolvanen played top power play last game. So if you're looking for a punt forward at a really cheap price and you're not going with the Dallas or Tampa guys, Tolvanen is not the worst play, and just hopes that he gets a power play point here. So other than that, the Predators lines are just too hard for me to take tonight. The second line is priced pretty well, and they did all stick together last game to my surprise, but I just can't see myself getting into too much Predators here on the forward side. But the defensive side's always intriguing for us. Roman Josi at 6K, he had 6 blocks last game. He played so many minutes 5-on-5, played so many minutes on the power play. He's just a guy that, and you mentioned it too, with Hedman at 7,400. Like, I'd rather just take Josi to get me a guaranteed 10 plus points, where Hedman, you're just banking on a few assists. So always like Josi. And then Dante Fabro. So I got someone in our Discord, sorry if I missed your name, but hopefully you're in the stream today, had Fabro in a couple of his lineups who scored last game, a power play goal. But Matthias Ekholm is out with baby reasons. I'm not sure if you saw that, but he played quite a few minutes last night. So definitely going to go back to him at this 2,700 price tag. There is another defenseman I like at that cheaper price range as well, but yeah, he's not bad. And then UC Saros here. Not really touching him at all. So
yeah, it's a tough matchup for Saros, and even though his price is 7,600, like it's still like should just be like a Lightning win here with a couple goals at least. But give me some Josi for 6K. We love him. Even Ryan Ellis, like I love him at his price right now. Like any time he's under 5,500, I'll get to some of him for sure. And then we actually talked about Dante Fabro. I can't remember if it was yesterday or it was on the podcast about how the Preds are just like a defense, like just factory, right?
Yeah.
And he's somebody that really showed a lot of promise towards the end of last season as well. And with Ekholm out, he's definitely going to see a lot more ice time, and he's definitely going to see more in terms of like his overall peripherals go up, just like I said, because of that ice time. So 2,700, it's a good price for him there. But I probably won't get to too many Preds tonight. I just think it's a pretty one-sided matchup. And with that first line, like that makes a lot more sense to me if you're the Predators, like just running with that line. Like Johansson isn't, like you said, a number one center by any means. So I would just rather run Duchesne there and even have Hall at second C. But just in terms of like a DraftKings thing, I still think they're a little bit priced up, and it's kind of like an unfavorable matchup against the Lightning here. So I'd rather just stay off them altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Jets Flames. Man, like I feel like I've been intrigued in this matchup every time they've played together, but I'm not as intrigued anymore. So the Jets have split their lines up quite a bit here. Looks like so Dubois does draw in tonight for the first time. I'm not sure how I feel, but I know he's a really good player and I get it, but he hasn't played in 2 weeks. So I'm not sure how I feel about him, but he does project extremely well for us. I have no idea what the minutes are going to look like tonight. I can't see Maurice playing Wheeler under 18 minutes, especially after that really emotional interview he had. And then I can't see the top line, so I don't know where the minutes are going to go tonight. So bunch of question marks for me on this Jets side. Markstrom is one of the best analytic goalies for high danger save percentages and everything. So I don't mind the Jets too much tonight, but I just think if I'm playing cash, I'm probably not going to be taking them. And then on the defensive end, again, Morrissey and Pionk just haven't impressed me at all this year. So why are you laughing?
It's the same thing like every day. Like it's just like, oh, the Jets, Morrissey, Pionk. Why is Pionk on power play 1?
Yeah, I know. I feel like we're just repeating ourselves, but that's just what's gonna happen this year with the same teams playing against each other 50 times. So
yeah, absolutely. Like I think really Connor's the only player that excites me here with being at 7,700. I think just looking at this matchup, I just see a whole lot more upside with the Flames. Like the Jets one has been good, and I will give them full credit. Like Scheifele and Ehlers have been working together on that top line, but you see a lot of their goals come from the power play, right? So you got Wheeler, Stastny, Scheifele, Connor on that top pair there. I think the third line actually gives you a little bit of upside with Dubois playing with Connor, and it'll be curious to see how they play. I probably won't be on them tonight just because, like, especially it was the same thing with the Line A thing. Like I stayed off him for the first game just to see like kind of how he played, where he was playing, what his minutes were, and then like lo and behold, Torts decides he wants to bench him. So like it's just you got to give these guys a little bit of time to adjust and get settled here. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see Dubois up on the second line and they go with Stastny on that third line, and then maybe move Connor back up there eventually. Yeah. But just as for this game, I'm just excited about anything kind of Jets related.
Yeah, I might actually. I'm contemplating fading this game a little bit, but I know you're gonna have a take on this third line for the Flames because they did good for you last time. But so I looked into it, and I know you were kind of bummed about Lucic and you didn't put him in, but he played only 1 minute with them last game, just a single minute. So and he scores. But on the Flame side, I'm always torn on what to do because I feel like they just score like 2 goals, and it's like it'll be like to Chuck from Bennett, and it's I'm like watching the game. I'm like, well, why is Bennett on with the Chuck right now? So I mean, from the Flame side, I'm just kind of torn on what to do. I just think there's better options on the slate tonight. And then the second line, they just project really well. I don't like Bennett at all, but I mean, I'm a guy that takes full lines here. The Jets have actually cleaned up their defensive end a little bit more. And then obviously they have Hellebuck in net, who's just a superstar goaltender that has been bailing the Jets out for the last 2 years. But I just don't think, I can't see myself getting into too much Flames tonight. I know this is going to be the night they pop off, but I'm almost completely off of them. And then Markstrom at 7,900. I mean, you can never go wrong taking Markstrom. I'm a huge Markstrom guy. I think you're a pretty big Markstrom guy too. Like you're on board. He's a really, really good goalie. And then both these goalies are top 10 for unblocked save percentages in all situations. And it's hard for me to take a line here against 2 really, really good goalies.
Yeah, so if you guys are wondering what happened with the Flames third line for me, so I think it was Levo that didn't start or was out, and I actually had like 3K left, so I went with Dylan Dubé instead of Backlund, Mangiapane, and Lucic, because Lucic moved up to the third line there. And I didn't even know he played like just 1 minute with that line, which kind of infuriates me a little bit more. But that third line won me some money the other night just because they had a really good game. But yeah, it seems like we're just always waiting for one of these two lines to just explode. And I don't know if it's because like they're split now or whatever, but you just think like, okay, Gaudreau's 5,800, Monahan's 5,200. Like those guys are really cheap who produce like fairly regularly for a good offensive Flames team, and we just never see them like be the nuts, you know? Like it's just we're constantly waiting for that to happen. Same thing with Kachuk. Like even though his shot volume is relatively high, we just haven't seen that one game yet where they just kind of go off, which you would expect with talented players like the Flames in a Canadian division where there's weak defense. But I think I'm still going to go to them tonight. I just think I'm not convinced with the Jets defense. I think they're pretty bad. The only thing that kind of makes me hesitant is Hellebuyck's in net at 7,700.
Yeah.
And that's always a good value play. Like even Markstrom for 79, like he's a good option as well. This game could kind of go either way. So like you said, it may just be best to fade this. I just think there's more like clear-cut options tonight. Like you have the Panthers, you have the Oilers, you have the Lightning, and then we'll talk about Vegas in a little bit. But this game's just like kind of hard to predict.
Yeah, I agree. We're just really, really strong goaltenders. I remember like 2 years ago, I think it was. Yeah, it was in our third year. One night I like faded the Flames completely in like all my lineups, and then Gaudreau had like 3 goals, 3 assists, had like 67 fantasy points, and I was so upset for not taking him. But I mean that's just a crazy outlier performance. All right, So if you guys haven't already, feel free to like the stream and subscribe. We're going to do this daily. The likes just help us out. It's a lot of work that we put in every day. So just a little thing you guys can do. It takes a few seconds. All right, Ducks, Golden Knights. Look at these Ducks projections right now. No one's over 20 as a full line. I think Dallas 3 is higher. Yeah. So we're just going to keep this short here. The only person I like is Yanni Hakanapa. I don't know how to pronounce it, but go look at his blocks. I want you to go look at his game log on his blocks and then tell the stream. But
somebody actually mentioned in chat before, didn't they? I remember the name's kind of hard to forget. But
yeah, he's an animal. But yeah, nothing to like on the Duck side. I think if you want to choose a line here, I'm line 2. Heinen and Silverberg have actually been really good 5-on-5, and then Shattenkirk's fine at that price range, but and Gibson at 7K again, it's just a punt goalie that shouldn't get much ownership because it's such a brutal matchup. So yeah, not much to like here.
Yeah, the Ducks are just obviously the most favorable play on the slate tonight. You know, they're all priced down, really good value, high upside.
Good matchup.
Incredible defense. They all play over 30 minutes. John Gibson, they just built the wall in the net and just started the game. So definitely going to go all in on the Ducks tonight. No, let's just say hypothetically here, let's say if Vegas just for whatever reason doesn't put up like 3 or 4 goals, I don't think Gibson's that bad of a play at 7K. I think that's good value for him. He's somebody that is obviously going to see a lot of shots from the Golden Knights tonight, and he's more than capable as a goalie of making like a 40 save performance. But I think outside of him, there's not much that I like tonight, unless you want to take the psychopath Yanni there at 3,300, who just seems to block everything in sight as of late.
30 blocks this season, 13 games. And Vegas is going to be shooting a bunch tonight. All right, so the Vegas side, and again, it just feels like we're like a toy and you're just like winding us up and we're just repeating the same things. But I mean, this Vegas one line is just a beast 5-on-5 always. They actually struggled against the Kings last game, but I think they were going against the Kopitar line, which is actually one of the more difficult lines to face in hockey, to my surprise. But, you know, definitely like Golden Knights 1, definitely like Golden Knights 2 tonight. They both project really well for us. The Golden Knights one's under 20K with Stevenson at 4,100. I think he scored 2 goals last game. Both on the power play, or one was 5-on-5 and one was on the power play. But I actually don't mind Vegas 3. They've been actually really solid 5-on-5 tonight. And they're going against the Ducks' depth, which is not there at all. I think their depth is actually their first line, should be their fourth line. It's crazy to see. But everywhere on the Golden Knights is great tonight. And even Theodore at 7,200, I would much rather take him over Hedman. Better matchup. He's attempting the most shots in the league, with forwards included, more than Matthews, which is a kind of a surprise. I think he's at 8 shot attempts per game right now, Theodore, which is extremely high. But he's a defense, so their through rate, which means the puck that actually goes on net, is usually around the 35% range, where the forwards are usually over 50. So that's the only thing you got to keep in mind. But I definitely like Theodore here today. And then Fleury's starting tonight. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be really high owned. What's his price? I don't know why his price didn't come up, but probably 8,500. He's probably max price tonight. But I was just reading some comments, and someone was talking about how Fleury has been like outstanding this year, and Leonard's just been brutal. It's like Fleury has like 4 games. Like I just don't get how people can just say this goalie's like I know I love Fleury, and I always will. He's a Hall of Famer. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I still think Leonard's the better goalie. But that's just me. When you play against LA, Arizona, Anaheim, it's kind of hard to say that this goalie is elite. He's never faced more than 30 shots this season. So
yeah, I think his price is 8,400, by the way, both him and Leonard.
Fair enough.
Fleury is expected to go. So I just think like when you have 2 really good goalies like this, you just play whoever's hot, right, until something kind of goes south. But like you said, Leonard has been getting kind of like the harder matchups, and Fleury is 4-0 to his credit with a 9.44. But like you said, he hasn't faced a lot of shots at all. So you just kind of go with whoever's hot, right? But as for Vegas, I like all 3 of their lines. I'm a big advocate of the third line. I use them a lot in terms of just like a slightly more expensive third line. Is just like a filler. I think they have good upside, especially with a guy like Alex Tuck on that line. And I believe Cody Glass was seeing some power play time with Petro out of the lineup. I'm just going to double check that quickly. But I love Theodore tonight. I really like his price at just being at 7,200. I'd rather go to him than Hedman all day tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Glass is on power play 1, by the way, so that is another good upside of having him, with Tuck being on the second power play as well. And then Nicholas Roy is just there to kind of bring the price down, because that is a relatively expensive third line, but I think it's still a good option. And we're still waiting on like the second line to kind of go off. Like they're always kind of like priced down, but similar to like Calgary, I guess it's just like we're waiting on them to have like a 3-point night for just the whole line. But you can never go wrong with the first line here. Like Stevenson's price is 4,100, so definitely going to get to some of them tonight.
Yeah, it's just the second line is like probably one of our best value lines every single night, and they'll score a goal, but it'll be like Riley Smith from Roy.
Yeah, it'll be like a power play goal, or they just won't hit 5-on-5 for whatever reason.
Hey, maybe tonight's the night, but I mean it's hard. The only bad thing I see tonight is just that it's Gibson. So
yeah,
but
yeah.
Marchessault, Carlson, Smith last season 420 minutes, a 3.26 expected goals, really good. And this season they're at a 3.29 expected goals, so they're expected to score about a goal per game. All right, so Sharks and Kings. Let me just see. Have they played each other this season? Because I really want to see who Kopitar is matching up against.
Because I don't think so.
Let me see. They have not. All right, so Sharks won. Again, they're just really good value again tonight. All the Sharks lines. I'm not going to be taking the third line at all, but line 2 is really, really good value. They're going against the Amadio, Wagner, Carter line, who's been just horrendous defensively. So I can definitely see myself getting to both Sharks 1 and Sharks 2 as value plays. Like Evander Kane's one of the highest shot volume players in the league, and he's down at 5,200. Like he's actually a really good one-off play. I mean, I'm not sure if his debt has gotten to his head yet, but I can definitely see myself taking some Sharks tonight. just as a pure value play. And you can fit them with a lot of the pricier stacks as well. So like Sharks 1, like Sharks 2 a lot. And then on the defensive side, so the D I wanted to mention that's, especially for you guys too, if you guys are looking for, if you guys are in a categories league and you need defense that hit, shoot, and block and play a lot of minutes, Mario Ferraro has been an absolute beast this year. So he's moved up in Vlasic's spot on first pairing. He played over 25 minutes last game. And he's just been, so he played 19 minutes, 5-on-5, led the team. And then I think he also plays a little bit of penalty kill. Yeah, led the team in penalty kill minutes as well. And he's led the team in power play minutes. Mario Ferraro last game, more than Burns and Carlson. I think that's just a matter of the first line is tired when they get the power play. But I love Mario Ferraro tonight. He's been someone that we were on. Me and Don have been on for quite a while now. But yeah, if you guys are looking for someone to get some blocks and some hits for you, definitely pick up Mario Ferraro. But yeah, Brent Burns 6,500, and I'm just gonna go back to the Hedman. This is the last time I'm gonna say it. I would much rather take Burns over Hedman just because he shoots so much. And he blocks a bunch. So I definitely like the Shark side quite a bit tonight, actually.
Yeah, that first line's really cheap, and they do have some good upside against probably a favorable matchup, I want to say. I never know with the Sharks. Like, they're a bad team. I think they're just like not in a good spot in terms of like depth offensively, and then like their defense I think is just a little bit overrated because of the whole Carlson Burns tandem. I think is like just starting to slow down a little bit, but their goaltending is absolutely atrocious, so I will not be touching Martin Jones tonight, regardless if it's against the Kings, who like to shoot the puck a lot. But Mr. Ferraro, I agree, like 3,500, that's a great price. The guy loves to block shots, and if he's getting some good power play time as well there, that definitely holds his value. But I'll talk about Burns a little bit, just because like he's also a guy that has burned me a couple times, and I know his price isn't as expensive as Hedman, but he's just not where he used to be in terms of his shot volume for me. Like, it's starting to slow down a little bit. I'm looking at his game log here. Same thing with his blocks. Like he's not as consistent as a lead as what he used to be, and that's why his price isn't up there with Hedman and Theodore tonight. So I'd probably just rather go with Theodore. I think it's just more of an upside for Vegas tonight as well. But I might get to some of the Sharks one. Just because their price is down, and like you said, Kane is a really high shot volume guy, and this is a line that can definitely score goals. So I might take them just as like a good kind of like contrarian play here, just because like again I feel like a lot of the matchups tonight are just kind of clear cut and like who's going to be the chalk essentially. As for the second line, I'm not too excited with Patrick Marleau being there. I know Meyer and Hertl are a pretty solid duo. And they are kind of priced down. So that's not like the worst option if I can fit them with like another high-end line without having to pay down for a D or anything like that. I think that's a good option. But same thing with Erik Karlsson, right? Like I haven't been seeing the consistency from him. Like even though he plays over 25 minutes, we have him at like 26 minutes here, average time on ice. For 4,800, like I was hoping that like him being healthy this year and not having to worry about like a surgery or an injury coming into the season would just like revitalize him as a player. But we just haven't seen it, and I think that's just because the Sharks aren't a very good team. So it's tough on his end to kind of like drive the offense when he's passing the guys like that third line who I can't name two of the players. So I'm probably off the Sharks tonight, but I will have some of the first line.
Yeah, I'm just doing some digging. So it looks like Sharks 2 actually were pretty good last season. They had a 2.91 expected goals for, but a 2.82 expected goals against. So, I mean, not the worst line, even with Marleau there. So Kings side, I actually like the Kings one quite a bit tonight. They are a little bit pricey, but very favorable matchup against the Sharks team, who has been time and time again just absolutely terrible defensively. The Iafallo Kopitar Brown line is their most productive line on the Kings. In 64 minutes, they have a 2.53 expected goals for. They've been actually really solid in the power play tonight. So I can definitely see myself getting to some Kings 1 tonight with potentially Doughty on the back end at 6,100. He's the guy he's like the pricey defense that gets like 1% ownership. And that's something I like with Doughty. He plays so many minutes. I think he's second in the league behind Burns. Yeah, you can see here 27-15, 27-30. So pretty close. But definitely like the Kings won tonight in a favorable matchup. Can't see myself getting anywhere else. And then we had someone mention, I think it was Devil, say Clegg is good value. So I haven't really looked anything into Kale Clegg, but I just know he's a name. Let me see here. So 15 minutes, 5-on-5 last game. Does he play any power play at all? Yeah, he actually plays power play too. So not the worst play tonight if you're looking for a punt defenseman, Kale Clegg. And then Quick is just, both these goalies are just no thanks.
Yeah, I'm definitely off the goalies for this matchup. I think Doughty is a good play tonight, even though he's 6,100, just to kind of get contrarian.
Yeah.
And I do think the same thing with Kings 1. Like, if you're looking to just kind of get off of the chalk tonight, like, this is a good option, as well as I think the Blackhawks, believe it or not, matching up against the defensive powerhouse of the Stars is a good option as well. But this is definitely a more favorable matchup. I think that, like, just Kopitar is just on an absolute tear right now in the points category. Like, he's been great for this Kings team, and so is that first line. Like, I usually look at a guy like Dustin Brown and I'm like, no thanks. But if he's continuing to just play on that top line with Cope and Iafallo, I'll be happy taking that line just to kind of get contrarian. But outside of that, I'm probably not getting to too much Kings tonight.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Sharks, and they've given up over 40 Corsi in every single game except for one. So they've just given up a ton of chances. Where's their scoring chances again?
Bad defensively. I don't know what it is. I think like they're just getting old, right? Like you got guys like Burns, Carlson, Vlasic who are coming to the end of their career, and I think it's just starting to weigh in on them, especially with bad goaltending too, right?
Yeah, and they've given up over 30 scoring chances 6 times, so more than they have under 30. So 6 times and then 4 times below it. So in their 10 games, 60% chance of them giving up over 30 scoring chances. Kind of bad for the Sharks. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. I think we both have some stuff to do today. I think if you guys can toss your hat trick picks in the chat right now, I'll write them down after the stream. We just kind of got to get going. Favorite line tonight?
My favorite line tonight. I'm gonna go with Lightning 1. I just think they're like the safest option.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go with Golden Knights 1. So, and then favorite priced up D and favorite value D.
My favorite priced up D is Shea Theodore, and what's our price range for like lower price D?
We'll do like min to like 4K, because then it's no man's land.
4K. Perfect. I'm going with my boy Calvin DeHaan at exactly 4K then.
I'll say my favorite price up D is also Shea Theodore tonight, and then Mario Ferraro, my boy. But yeah, guys, sorry we're kind of rushing everybody out of here right now. We just have some stuff to do today. It's a little bit busier of a day here at Fantasy Puck, but we're just trying to balance the content for you guys. And I have a great idea for this week. Hopefully I get the video out at some point. But if you guys liked the content today, leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be doing this almost daily. Hopefully tomorrow's a little bit less rushed. If you're not following us on our Twitter, follow us at @fantasy_puck. And if you're not in the Discord yet, definitely join the Discord. I think most of you are already in there. So that's awesome to see. Our Fantasy Puck community is growing fast. If you guys want access behind the paywall, you guys want access to our sheets, our projections, our trade analyzer, our podcast, everything, all of our exclusive content over on our Patreon. We have 3 tiers of $5, $8, and $15, and they all provide benefits according to their price. And if you guys like the content and want to support us as content creators, that is the best way to do so. Any final words, Chris?
Let's get your hat trick prediction quick before we go, Mike. But
yes.
Again, if you guys are new and not in the Discord, make sure you get in the Discord. That's the best way to reach Mike and I. Just like literally with anything, like if it's fantasy hockey related, if it's DFS related, like just send us an ad in one of the channels and we'll get to you as soon as we possibly can. Like Mike said, we're kind of in a busy day today, but we'll do our best to get back to you guys. As well as just leave a like before you guys head out. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. Like we love doing this for you guys. Even if we do seem a little bit rushed today, it's still, we're here to provide you guys with the best value possible, and we appreciate your support immensely. So I'm going to start off with my hat trick pick. It's my boy. It's the reason why I have the jersey on tonight. It's Mr. Alexander
Fair
Barkov.
enough. I love that. My hat trick pick tonight's going to be kind of a sleeper one by Alex Iafallo. So we'll see what happens.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Brian Burke, president of the Pens. No way. Wow.
And then I think Hextall is the new GM that I just read.
Wow. I love that. Let's go, Malkin. All right, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in once again today, and we'll see you